Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Jinger Duggar helps Jill through devastating day. Counting on alum Jinger Duggar Vulo is known for keeping a strong relationship with her family despite stepping away from their beliefs. Unlike Jill, she continues to stay in touch with their parents and even visits them occasionally. Jill even helped her get through a heartbreaking day. Keep reading to see what happened. Counting on. How's Jinger Duggar today? Jinger has been busy making podcast videos with Jeremy over the past few weeks. The Counting on alums like to talk about their lives before and during the reality show. There are also times when Jinger discusses her decision to disentangle herself from the core values of the IBLP. Recently, the mother of two appeared in an interview in which she discussed the blessings and struggles of growing up on TV. She also shared how she moved from a faith rooted in fear to one rooted in freedom. Jinger helps Jill get through devastating day. Jill Duggar recently took to social media to share that it's the 6th month since she lost her stillborn daughter, Isla Marie. The Counting on alum went on a jog to ease her mind during the difficult day. Moments later, she took to social media to share that her sister, Jinger Duggar Vulo, sent her a refreshing drink. Jinger has been a supportive sister to Jill. She never forgets to visit her whenever she flies back to Arkansas. They usually spend their day together and go shopping whenever they reunite. Counting on, how does Jill Duggar deal with the loss? Aside from jogging and having public picnics with her family, Jill has many other ways to heal from her miscarriage. One of them was keeping herself busy in the garden. She presently plants crops for them to eat regularly. The Counting on alum often uploads videos of her harvest day as well as clips from when she's preparing a meal using fruits and vegetables she harvested. Everything looks delicious. Yum! I love tomatoes with salt and pepper too. Oh, how scrumptious! And I just love fresh tomatoes lightly seasoned with salt and pepper. Pickled banana peppers sounds so good. I love eating my fruits and veggies right out of the yard. Jill Duggar stood in her quiet kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound filling the space. It was a rare moment of solitude in a house usually teeming with the happy chaos of children's laughter and the rhythm of everyday life. But today, there was no laughter. There was only the weight of an anniversary she had hoped to forget. The day when her family's world shattered into a million jagged pieces. It had been years since the scandal involving her eldest brother, Josh, had been thrust into the public eye, but the trauma still lingered. The betrayal, the sense of broken trust, and the overwhelming pressure from being a part of such a high-profile, tightly controlled family were wounds that hadn't fully healed. Jill had worked hard to carve out a different path, distancing herself from the Duggar empire and the stringent rules of her upbringing, but some days the past felt inescapable. Today was one of those days. As she sat down at the kitchen table, the weight of the memories almost suffocating, her phone buzzed on the counter. The name on the screen brought a small, bittersweet smile to her face. Jinger. Of all her siblings, it was Jinger who had most understood her journey, her need to step away from the Duggar legacy and forge a life outside of their parents' rigid control. Jill hesitated for a moment before answering the call, wiping a tear that had escaped down her cheek. She didn't want to burden her sister, who had her own struggles and battles. But when she heard Jinger's voice on the other end, warm and full of concern, Jill's resolve crumbled. "Hey, Jill," Jinger said gently, sensing the heaviness in her sister's silence. "I just wanted to check in on you today. I know it's a hard one." Jill swallowed, her throat tight. "Yeah, it is. I didn't think it would hit me this hard after all this time, but it's like it never really goes away, you know?" "I know," Jinger replied softly, "but you don't have to go through this alone. Do you want me to come over?" For a moment, Jill considered saying no. She was so used to handling things on her own, so used to being the strong one for her kids and her husband, Derek. But she realized that today, more than anything, she needed her sister. "Yeah," she said finally, "I think I'd like that." An hour later, Jinger arrived at Jill's house carrying a small bouquet of sunflowers, Jill's favorite. She stepped inside and immediately enveloped her sister in a long, comforting hug, both of them lingering in the embrace longer than usual. It was as though the simple act of being there, of offering silent support, was enough to start mending some of the emotional fractures Jill had carried for so long. They settled on the couch, the sunflowers now sitting in a vase on the coffee table between them, their bright yellow petals a small spot of hope in an otherwise somber day. "I brought something else," Jinger said, holding the worn photo album from her bag. Jill raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite her low mood. "What's this?" Jinger smiled, flipping open the album. "I thought maybe we could take a little trip down memory lane. Not the painful stuff, but the good times. The times before things got so complicated." As Jinger began turning the pages, the photos brought with them a flood of memories. There were pictures of the two sisters as young girls, arms wrapped around each other, beaming in front of their childhood home. There were pictures from family vacations, birthday parties, and quiet moments they had shared in the corners of a house filled with so many siblings. Jill's lips curved into a small smile as they lingered on a photo of the two of them standing in a field of wildflowers, their hair blowing in the wind, carefree and happy. "I'd forgotten about that day," she said softly. "I remember it," Jinger said with a smile. "We spent the whole afternoon out there, just talking about all the things we wanted to do someday. All the adventures we were going to have." Jill nodded, her smile tinged with sadness. "It feels like such a different life now." "It does," Jinger agreed. "But that doesn't mean we can't still have adventures. Different ones, maybe, but still good ones." Jill looked at her sister, feeling a flicker of hope. Jinger had been through her own transformation, stepping away from the Duggar family's strict beliefs and embracing a more modern, open lifestyle with her husband, Jeremy Vuolo. She had become a symbol of strength and independence in her own right, and that gave Jill the courage to believe that she, too, could continue to grow and heal. The sisters continued flipping through the album, laughing at some of the more awkward photos, like their matching homemade dresses and the questionable hairstyles of their teenage years. It was a balm for Jill's wounded soul, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there had been light. As they reached the end of the album, Jinger closed it and looked at her sister with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Jill, I've been thinking a lot about how far we've come. We're not those little girls in these photos anymore, and thank God for that. But we still have each other, and I think that's what matters most." Jill felt tears welling up again, but this time they were tears of gratitude. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Jinger." "You don't have to know," Jinger said with a smile. "I'm here. We're in this together." The two sisters sat in comfortable silence for a while, the weight of the day lifting slightly. The photo album, now closed, was a reminder that while the past couldn't be changed, it didn't have to define them. They had each other, and they had their futures, bright and full of possibility, despite the scars they carried. Later that evening, as Jinger prepared to leave, she turned to Jill one last time. "If you ever need to talk about anything, don't hesitate to call. I don't care what time it is. You don't have to go through this alone." Jill nodded, feeling a deep sense of comfort and love. "I won't forget. Thank you, Jinger." As her sister left, Jill stood in the doorway, watching her drive away. The day had started out dark and heavy, but now, as the sun began to set, there was a sense of peace in the air.